righty, hi everyone. As you're arriving here, we're excited and welcome to our session about 5 years on the road toward inclusive pre-K-12. And this is presented to us by Poway Unified School District. And my name is Jessica Mayorka Nunez. I'm one of the program support specialists with Supporting Inclusive Practice Project and excited for this session. Now, a few logistics. We are recording and this will be archived on the conference agenda page after the conference for 1 month. There is closed captioning available by clicking on that CC button at the bottom of the screen, as well as the interpretation icon is located in the same area, as access to Spanish translation is provided, and we will ensure our ASL interpreters are spotlighted along the way throughout this presentation. So again, just some simple reminders: make sure your volume is muted to avoid background distractions. And we encourage your participation in the chat when possible, and keep your cameras on so we can see your faces. And I'm going to turn it over to start us off with Laura.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to our session. Like Jessica said earlier, this is an inclusive journey, 5 years on the road towards inclusive preschool through 12th grade. We're really happy to have you joining us while we share about the work that we're doing here in Poway Unified. If you can, in the chat, please say hello with your name. Give us a shout out on where you're coming from. We will get that going. Next slide, please. Today, I am so excited to share this space with this team of people. I'm going to introduce each of them and they will wave. Nancy is here. She is a classified on special assignment with the Inclusive Practices team. She has experience as an instructional assistant. I am Laura Snow. I am a teacher on special assignment with our Inclusive Practices team. I have experience as an education specialist in our elementary spaces. Megan is a teacher on special assignment. She is an advocate and an ed specialist in elementary through adulthood. And Kellie Moore is our principal site administrator here within our district at Mesa Verde Middle School. Michelle Jilly is a program specialist. She has a focus on inclusive practices within her work.
Sorry, I got so distracted by all of our friends in the chat that I missed my slide transition. So welcome. Today we are sharing 3 key actions we have taken over the past 5 years on our road to inclusion that we thought other districts and teams could replicate. And so these are developing district support teams, cultural beliefs and values, and collaborating with community partners to improve site and student outcomes. We hope you'll find an idea from each of our stops that you can bring back to replicate in your context. Also, a note Laura has put in the chat, we've hyperlinked all of our resources and are always happy to share more. If you're looking for something extra special, some more secret sauce, we can do that after the presentation. We're starting with our first key action from the start of our journey 5 years ago, which was creating a district inclusive practices support team. So as we start to think about support, we'd love to know, as you reflect on either today, this week, this month, what does support currently look like for you? If you could put your number in the chat, might it look like number 1? You could use some fuel, some coffee, some treats, some snacks. Number 2, teammates, coaches, administrators to walk alongside you in inclusive practices. Number 3, prioritized funding for inclusion. 4, perhaps classroom support with modeling lessons or observations, kid-specific strategies. 5, professional learning, release time, collaboration time, time to recharge. There's so much. So I'm going to check in the chat here. Some friends eating some snacks. If we were together, I'd bring you some cookies. I love it. Someone made a number 7, all of them. That's fantastic. So as we can see in the chat, defining support is complicated. Not one of us needed the same thing. Some of us had overlapping things. But Just like our students, we are all variable learners as adults. Our context matters, our experiences matters, and we want and need different things depending on where we were at, just like our students, right? And so for us as a support team, that's been really complicated to navigate, trying to figure out what's going to be a just-in-time support, so that way we can meet the diverse needs of our preschool to transition age school district. So some demographics about our school district are there at the top for you. But today we're going to be talking about sort of these 4 distinct district teams that we have that are supporting both staff and students. For both, they come from general education and special education departments. And so as we were designing this team 5 years ago, we wanted to design something different. So you'll notice there, our 2 middle teams, our incredible behavior support team and our phenomenal inclusion specialists are both teams from special education that support both students and teachers. And so they're connected to some students' IEPs. Which can make it challenging at times to be available in your calendar to be able to actually support teachers and support staff. And so we really wanted to create a new team that was dedicated to professional learning and embedded coaching. And so that's the team that is presenting here today, the Inclusive Practices team. And we're also really currently thinking about how do we evolve this, right? And how do our district teams work together and collaboratively that we can support each other, have common language, kind of divide and conquer we have 39 schools in our district. And that's a lot of folks who would like FaceTime and support. So how do we do that together? And then also, how do we partner with our general education colleagues and make that seamless so that it doesn't feel like one more thing on everybody's plate to really talk about inclusion, but to embed that within whether we're doing a presentation on multilingual learners or education technology or a new curriculum, how do we do that together and be a little bit smarter and purposeful about that? So this is just a little snapshot of our journey. In 2018, we began this work, myself as a teacher on special assignment, and my fabulous partner, Nancy Brundrett, was our first classified on special assignment, or COSA. So we are really, really proud of our phenomenal COSAs who are on our call today. It's a really incredibly unique position, and we haven't heard of perhaps another district in California that has it. But we created it in partnership with our classified labor union to really think about how do we provide essential just-in-time professional learning for our most essential providers of education, our paraprofessional and instructional assistant staff. So Nancy's going to share a little bit about that for you in just a couple of minutes. So over the past 5 years, we moved from a model school model in spring 2018 to now all of our schools are in some shape or form doing something related to inclusive practices in 23-24. We just did a redesign of our preschool program to be more inclusive. And as always, we're continuously improving and getting better. And we've been really fortunate. Nancy and I think, would be under the table crying right now if we were trying to support 39 schools by ourselves. And so over the years, we've been able to add to our team. We now have 3 dedicated COSAs. We have 1 behavior intervention technician who specifically supports in early childhood. And we now have 4 teachers on special assignment, including staff who are supporting our inclusive preschool. And next year, we're hoping to add on to them just a little bit of extra work in PK-12, a little bit. And so how do we do that in a really large school district? So in our first year working together, my background is as an education specialist, and I had the great privilege of going to school at Sac State. So shout out to Sac State, where I was really taught how to be an inclusive educator. And so I came into this new role and was like, this is all the stuff we need to learn, folks. And we put together a year of professional learning series with a cohort of districts. And the reception to that was kind of like, wah, wah, wah. because it turns out adults, just like our kids, don't like being told what to do. And what I thought people wanted or needed was actually not what they wanted or needed. And so instead we learn, as our boss says, we fail forward. And we really thought about how do we provide access points for all of our staff, for all of our sites. And so we kind of looked at like, what are best practices in inclusive education? And so we developed this learning blueprint that really focuses on our 4 kind of pillars of inclusion. So culture and community, collaborative practices, instructional design, SEL, and behavior. And in doing so, this provides us a structure for professional learning and support. And it allows educators and site leaders to say, hey, this year we really want to focus on culture and community. And that's what we design our supports and professional learning around. It's also really helped us kind of articulate that this is really big work and it's not work in isolation. And so we need to be intentional and focused. We can't just pop around and like 1 month do culture and community, 1 month do instructional design. Like we need to have some intentionality to what we're doing. And so this guides the next part of our work that Nancy is going to be explaining.
Thank you, Megan. So as Megan just shared with the blueprint, the next step was sort of for us as an inclusive practices team to create a menu of options for sites to choose from. We really did this in an effort to personalize individual site needs. This voice and choice, which we all know is a tenet that is so critical to inclusive practices with our students, was equally as powerful for our school leadership teams. Once an area was identified, our team crafted and created targeted professional development, provided embedded coaching support, modeled lessons in classrooms, and did observations when maybe a challenging student behavior arose, something that they hadn't experienced before, or a new student entered the school and they really wanted some help with how to get started in the best way. And equally as important, when a new staff member was onboarded, this environment we live in, people are coming and going, and we have new staff coming on. So it was really important that we kept that communication open so that new staff would get the same information and feel the same level of support. These efforts continue to build site capacity, but also allow for site customization to ensure inclusivity, and really with a focus on providing the best student experience for all of our learners. Next slide. So historically, our district, Poway Unified, did not have professional development that was dedicated specifically to the support over 1,100 instructional assistants that we have in our district. So of those 1,100 instructional assistants, they work in a variety of environments supporting students. Includes our special education instructional assistants, our English learner IAs, and our general education IAs as well. Our district received grant support through SPACE in partnership with the Thompson Policy Institute at Chapman University. This has been an invaluable just partnership, and we're so grateful. Our classified on special assignment team, as Megan mentioned earlier, there are 3 of us, and we are all former instructional assistants here in Poway schools. We launched a virtual community series for our secondary instructional assistants. The first year, which was 2022-2023 last year, it was focused only on our middle school instructional assistants, and we held a kickoff, an in-person kickoff on a district-wide professional growth day. This gave the unique opportunity for IAs from across the district to convene, build community, and share their areas of interests and needs to serve students better. It was a very powerful day. Through a survey that we did that day, the topics for the 7-session series, which you see here in the blue flyer, were selected. So that felt powerful. They had a voice in what we were going to be doing, and it started from there. Of our 12 district secondary sites, 10 of those have designated non-student time every Wednesday morning. So students arrive late to school on those Wednesdays. This provided the perfect window of opportunity for these virtual trainings to occur. The attendance was amazing. The word of mouth really spread, and it was very, very positive. At the conclusion of those 7 sessions, we surveyed our participants, as well as personal conversations with people when we were on campuses. And I'm just going to share a little bit about what we heard from them. They felt that the opportunity to connect with colleagues was so valuable. The tools they received and the learning and the various content areas they shared was very easily implemented, and the students responded well to more inclusive approaches. Because of the learning, they have been able to remove barriers, anticipate challenges, and engage authentically with students. But perhaps the best part for our team has been the sharing from instructional assistants about the many positive examples of how they have been able to accommodate for all students and facilitate positive social interactions with peers. This is a piece that sometimes we lose sight of, and we get really caught up in the academic piece, but the social interactions are so important. And this is an area where instructional assistants can naturally support. Through this effort, some site instructional assistants have actually begun holding their own professional learning meetings at their respective places to build site capacity. So this is so good. And for the COSAs and myself, this feels like such a win. This is what we want. We want them to have intentional things. This virtual series was so well received that this current school year, we extended the virtual series to include elementary instructional assistants. Those take place on Thursdays because the majority of our elementary sites have early release on Thursdays. And we just recently began teaming with our pre-K TOSAs on inclusive practices, and have begun community-based trainings with our preschool instructional assistants district-wide.
I'm going to interrupt also really quickly because it looks like some of our images are not showing up on the deck. However, all of these images on this slide specifically are hyperlinked. So if you click on the link in the chat for the slides, you should then be able to open what Nancy is going to share with you right now.
All right, here we go. The talented 2 other COSAs on the team that I am so privileged to be part of created Padlets that included all the slide decks and the recordings of each presentation that we did throughout the year. In addition, the idea came up to create a newsletter. So this newsletter was sent to participants post-session to kind of give the key ideas and bullet points of what we had learned together. But it also went to our site leadership. So this was very intentional. We wanted to give our site administrators a tool to connect with their instructional assistants. And it has been, the feedback's been phenomenal. They really appreciate that. We will get an email from somebody, or somebody will say, oh, my principal came up to me and asked about what I learned about behavior as communication, or, you know, taking data. And it just makes the instructional systems feel so part and connected. And likewise, we've had wonderful feedback from our site admins too, an appreciation for those opportunities. And the newsletter has been a game changer because it's all right there for them. We know how busy our site administrators are. So at this time, we're going to take a few minutes to look through the Padlets. Hopefully, if everyone's able to access that through the link.
All right, we're going to bring you back here. And I saw in the chat, so these were designed specifically for our instructional assistants. Our COSAs have done a phenomenal job in partnership with Chapman University, really thinking about how to catalog these tools in an accessible way. I wish I had some of their executive functioning skills so that our other professional learning was categorized as well. So 5 years ago in our school district, professional learning was really siloed. So administrators, teachers, support staff, they all learned separately from each other. They had separate meetings, separate professional development, schedule, calendar. And as Nancy and I were coming straight out of classrooms 5 years ago, this was always a frustration of ours, that we were never learning together and at the same time. And so we decided to switch it up. So our focus has been on developing site teams. As much as possible, we try to bring site level teams together that include general education teachers, education specialists, instructional assistants, and site administrators. So that way we can have a common conversation and begin to implement and have some follow through. A couple of years ago, we realized that maybe we weren't being as inclusive as we thought we were, and that we have all these other district support teams that could also present and share information with us and alongside of us. And so we began to connect with our colleagues in other departments and inviting them to our professional learning series and saying, would you either help us co-create this day-long professional release day, or might you be available to facilitate specific breakout sessions? So we've done that, and it's been really cool to see folks come together and that through line between all of our different district projects. Now we're trying to plan for sustainability and really thinking about, as special education teachers, I think we always think that we need to work ourselves out of a job. And so people need to have this information at the ready without needing to rely on all of us. So sharing knowledge in accessible ways, expanding our outreach, always advocating for embedding our district policies, procedures, and culture. And then also really thinking about who's not at the table, how can we bring other teammates in to this work and do a whole lot of advocating together instead of separately.
All right, everybody. Next stop on our journey takes us to the cultural beliefs and values. Last school year, our inclusive practices team often found ourselves in situations where we were giving conflicting recommendations and support. Our messaging was really inconsistent to our district and site administrators, teachers, our instructional assistants, and sometimes parents than what they were hearing from other team providers. We would receive feedback that they were confused, which often led us to some frustration when teams would return to a space and recommendations that maybe we were offering weren't really in alignment with what was happening in the classroom. And so each week, as we were meeting with our team, we'd come together and we would share about those problems of practice. And we kept feeling like there was this recurring theme that our mismatched messaging was really problematic outside of our team. And I proposed, and my teammate Megan will say that I insisted, that we would start really reaching out to our additional support providers that we have, our behavior support team and our full inclusion team. I think this calls back to what Megan was talking about earlier when we were breaking down the silos outside of special education. We weren't really building capacity within that special education department and what we were trying to streamline and support with our students. So we did start meeting and we branded ourselves the Inclusion Work Team because we all love a name. And it was the full inclusion team, which is made up of itinerant education specialists and instructional assistants. The behavior support team is made up of BCBAs. And then we had our team, which were teachers on special assignment and are classified on special assignment and our behavior intervention tech. We would meet once a month, and at first it was pretty awkward because we weren't really sure why we were meeting and how were we gonna figure this out together, because we all stood really firmly in what we believed in, and we knew that the mixed messaging we were giving to teachers was really impacting students, and there was confusion there. So we knew that we had to find a way to come together. So through some of those awkward times together and conversations, we decided that we were going to work through developing some cultural beliefs and values. And so let's go. Next slide, please. we were able to find a district professional growth day in the fall and of this year, and we invited Dr. Kristen Brooks from SIP to facilitate the work for us. Prior to October 3rd, she sent the inclusion work team a pre-survey so that she could gather some information and help kind of direct where we needed to go. And it was all around what the current district cultural beliefs and values were and what they looked like when they in 2023. This survey is linked in the slide deck for you, so you're welcome to use it if you feel like that might be something beneficial when you're bringing a larger work group together. Next slide, please. If you could take a moment to read, I'm going to have you read this slide. You can scan it. So as a group, we took time and we really had to face some of these beliefs that we found really prevalent in our spaces. Some of that's really hard to read because we're like, oh, and this is the district that we work for. But it's critical for us to really think about those entrenched beliefs around our district and really making connections around how and why these beliefs continue to really embed themselves into the spaces that we work in, and really understanding that our three teams are trying to counter them, but also living within those spaces where the beliefs show up. So trying to find that understanding. The results pyramid is where we spent a lot of our time with Dr. Brooks. We reflected on all of the hard work that our teams are really engaging in and exhausting ourselves with. And then really talking about how it's pretty common for work groups, teams to really live in that top part of the pyramid, in those actions and results. We think if we do this thing, then we're going to see results. But when we're looking at greater change, Kristen really had, Dr. Brooks really said, let's ground ourselves in those beliefs and experiences, because if we understand people's beliefs and we understand that beliefs are formed through experiences, how do we then start to create experiences so that beliefs begin to shift, which then change actions, which then create sustaining and greater results? So as we talked about, okay, well, let's start creating experiences. We then jump back into that action piece. Like, okay, we know we need experiences, so let's go, let's do it. But Dr. Brooks really said, okay, hold on. Let's really think through, like, what does this team truly believe in? What are those guiding beliefs and values and visions that we really want to hone in on? And so as a group, we created the following vision. The Poway Unified Inclusive Cultural Beliefs, a community where a culture of inclusion is the foundation of intentionally designed accessible systems with supports for every diverse learner. So everybody in that work group said, yes, this is what we believe in, and this is the work that we really want to engage in. Next slide, please. So as we're looking at shifting beliefs and intentionally reframing narratives, we wanted to ground ourselves in our values, right? We have our big vision, but how are we going to get there? And so Dr. Brooks said, it's nice to have sort of some catchy taglines. And we also wanted us to be able to notice and name when we're seeing people, ourselves, and our greater district community really engaging in inclusive practices. So we talked about, we wanted, in response to kind of those old entrenched beliefs, really owning it, right? Redefining the Poway, creating an inclusive culture and learning community. Instead of kind of going back to, we believe in that elitist achievement, higher, 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 better, 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 more, and faster. Let's redefine that Poway. Innovating access, we intentionally design sustainable systems of inclusivity. And then connecting mindsets, we prioritize, anticipate, and embrace learner variability. Next slide, please. So We often hear from our teachers, our school personnel, they're experiencing initiative burnout. And so we developed this document as we are talking with site leadership and school sites, district leadership. This is a document that's a public file. So again, it is also linked. But it shares how our values and beliefs are connected to the greater district vision and mission. And so it's not just one more thing. So yes, we believe this, but we also want you to do this thing over here. No, what we're asking is in alignment with our district vision and mission. And it has really helped us in meetings to kind of show that through line so that everyone is like, okay, yes, this is connected. We've referred to this document throughout the school year, and it allows us to continually ground ourselves in developing those experiences for our district members. The next few slides are sharing how we leaned into creating experiences. I'm going to just name maybe one on each slide. Around owning it, we developed recognition certificates so that district staff certificates for teachers, instructional assistants, other personnel, they receive personalized certificates when we recognize that they are engaging in one of our values. And so really showing that they're owning it and owning the work themselves. An experience around innovating access. Most recently, we had a professional learning community and around our extensive support needs teachers and really talking about bringing blended learning practices. So we invited our ed tech team, which is another district group that is working towards creating more access for our students. And so they came and gave a presentation. So really showing another way. And then our last connecting mindsets, I'm going to have to give a shout out because we were fortunate enough to have Otto Lana, who was part of our keynote speaker earlier today, come and be a special guest for our inclusion work team and really support our work and help reinvigorate and inspire us to continue doing the work we're doing. Lots of good stuff. Next slide, please. Really quick, this is just a picture of the group at our end of our deep dive. We've really been able to lean into carpooling and are enjoying the journey together. It makes the work better, stronger, more sustainable. And so we're really grateful for the time that Dr. Brooks spent with us. And we have noticed a further shift in our ability to work together and to influence better opportunities for our students.
So on the next step of our journey, we're going to talk about some of those site partnerships. We are going to talk about one of our focus schools, as well as kind of what those student outcomes and how those conversations went. Again, we're going to have a ton of resources that will be made available to you guys that you can potentially replicate or adjust for whatever might work for your schools and your situation. So as we did our work, again, this is a 5-year journey. So there was a lot of moments of reflection and opportunities for us to kind of see as a team, what were we missing? What did we need to add? What were some of the new barriers that we were coming across as we branched out into more school sites and had staff coming and going, like Megan talked about. And one of those things was really our administrative teams. So in a lot of our previous professional development for that involved our special education teachers and our general education teachers, as well as our instructional assistants, we would invite our administrators who oversaw special education from those school sites. And we had inconsistent attendance, right, depending on things that were coming up at the school sites. But we didn't have something that was just a general foundational knowledge and training for all administrators in our district, so that there was a uniformity across sites, across partnerships and leadership teams. And so we began, similar to our IA series, we called them our admin boot camps. And so we hosted trainings for specifically our leadership teams throughout the last few years. This year, we took it and stepped it up even a bigger notch, and we partnered with our space partners and amazing leaders of themselves. And we created an amazing series with their leadership and guidance. They supported the creation of this, really focusing around even expanding it past inclusive practices into social justice and really looking at students as a whole, no matter what the labels are, no matter what the needs were, and just working with our administrative team to identify how to be a good leader and how to have those hard conversations, how to identify maybe the problems of practice or the next steps for a team at their school site, so that our inclusive practices team, our behavior support team, our inclusion specialists weren't the ones having to outline what that plan looked like. So again, it goes back to those cultural beliefs that Laura was discussing about owning it. And it helped to provide some of those tools to our leaders on how to be reflective of their own school sites and their own staffing teams. And so with that, we were able to create another series of trainings, which again, it's a Padlet that you guys are able to access with all of the resources. And this was something that, again, was made available primarily to our leadership teams and our administrators, but is something that anyone could access. So we do have some district staff who have also participated in these to kind of build up their school and their skill sets. So then our next step, kind of as we went through our model schools and we started expanding into more schools, we really utilized our partnerships with SIP and SPACE to provide some more individualized support to certain school sites. So we primarily were targeting our middle schools with their support, and through that, we had our district-wide trainings, we had those admin boot camps, we had our IA training series, and we had just, the traditional professional development that was available kind of throughout the district. But some of our schools required a lot more support. And so this support may look like, monthly check-ins, it may look like quarterly check-ins, where those conversations were facilitated by our SIP and SPACE partners, and included our site leadership as well as other staff members that were supporting that school site, including ed specialists that were at that site. And in those meetings, there was oftentimes of reviewing the current data, reviewing our progress, developing goals and planning for all of that, to help, emphasize the fact that our school site leaders really are the ones who make this work possible. Without them being on board and without them having the same level of understanding or same vision, a lot of those mixed messages continue to happen, even if everyone who's supporting that school site is on the same page. So it provided a nice check-in and a nice opportunity for our whole team to kind of specifically to that school site, make sure that we were calibrated. And then through that work, we also were able to come up with multi-year action plans. So some of our schools, have had support for 2 or 3 years, and they have been kind of developing that action plan and adding to it and adjusting as they've made progress or haven't in certain areas. And so with that, we were able to identify some schools that had maybe more unique challenges and more unique situations. And so we were able to dive even deeper beyond that more individualized planning and do a specific kind of site visit that we're going to go over with you to kind of dig deeper into kind of what that school was going through, including inclusive practices, but also just school-wide. And so I'm going to pass the baton over to Kellie.
So I love how Michelle said we have some unique challenges, because that is a great way to put it. So we at Mesa Verde were one of the schools that was selected to be a focus school. We've been doing some work behind the scenes with our partners from the Thompson Policy Institute and SIP, but being fairly new to the site at the time when we went through this, there was still a lot of work that needed to be done. And there still is, because there always will be. We'll be on this journey forever. But we had a lot that we needed to do here. So we were able to participate in a 2-day site visit with our grant partners from SIP and from SPACE. So we had the Thompson Policy Institute, we had Jill and Shane and Audrey. Thank you all for your support. We love you. And Dr. Brooks from SIP. And we also had our district leadership at this 2-day visit. So we had our program specialist, we had our associate superintendent, special education director, executive director from our learning support services, our site administrative team, and then the inclusive practices team, COSAs and TOSAs were with us as well. So we went through a process of learning walks, meetings, interviews, reviewing surveys, and we really had to get into the good, the bad, and the ugly of what was happening at our site. And I'm sure anyone here will tell you I cried a lot on those 2 days. We have celebrated a lot since then, but there was a lot that was going on that we needed to address. And it really requires the administrators on a site to be very vulnerable and transparent and honest about what's happening at your site and what the challenges are that you see. It also requires the site administrators to have a very clear vision of inclusive practices and being very strong with your non-negotiables. And I go back to one of our intro slides in what does support look like to you? And my first response was definitely the support system of all of those people in the room was so powerful. And even though it was very scary, especially being a fairly new principal and new to the site, to be so vulnerable and talk about all the things that weren't going well at our site, that's really, really hard to do. You've got your bosses in the room, and you've got the people who are giving you money through your grant partnerships, and you're telling them how things are not going well, and it's uncomfortable. And you really have to lean into that discomfort and know that it is all about supporting the administrative team on the site to be able to improve your student outcomes. And if you keep that in mind, that this is all about the students, this is not personal about any one person or any team, then that's what's going to allow you to move forward with it. So you have to know what's working, what's not working. You have to know what your continuum looks like and where those gaps are for students. And that was really important to be able to share all of those learnings. If we could go to the next slide, please. So when we had our site visit, we over the course of the 2 days, we did a lot of meetings in the room. We did a lot of visiting classrooms. So when we visited classrooms, it was like learning walks, but we weren't just looking at a specific topic. We weren't just looking at student engagement or looking at just, a couple classrooms or anything. We were really diving into what is happening in the classroom? What is the student engagement? What supports and differentiation do we see? But then on a whole other level, we're looking at what are those partnerships within the classrooms? How are those partners working together, whether it's a general ed teacher and an education specialist, or a general education teacher or ed specialist with an instructional assistant? And we went into nearly every single co-taught and collab class on our campus. We went into our learning supported classrooms, our structured support needs classrooms, and our extensive support needs classrooms. And it really helped everyone on the team see what the continuum looked like on our campus, and then also what those different partnerships look like. And again, what's working, what's not. We also looked at our LRE data. We looked at grades, our testing data. We looked at student surveys. We interviewed without the administrative team. We interviewed teachers and instructional assistants so that they could give some real and honest feedback. And while I wasn't in the room for those, the team said that they felt they were real and honest in the feedback that they gave. And from all of that, we just really focused on what do we need to do next? What is our action plan? What are our next steps? So we were able to really collaborate with our site, our district leadership, and our grant partners to collaborate on our vision, our desired outcomes, how to backward plan to achieve what we knew we needed to achieve, and offer that that continuum for students. So we looked at all of those things, those key components really that were talked about earlier on, I think in slides 8 or 9. We looked at all of those key components in order to move forward. So it allowed us all that opportunity to collaborate and identify our needs together so that we could figure out who was going to do what and what our next steps were. So if we could go to the next slide, please. So as we looked at, after we looked at all of that data, it was a lot to go through. And this is probably when a lot of the tears happened, is when we're really talking about what do we do next? All of this is hard to look at, and it's hard to hear and to digest. And so when we're looking at all of that, we were able to talk about what are our strengths, because we did have strengths at our site. We absolutely did, but we had a lot of areas for growth. And so some of those discussion points were, what other information do we need? What things do we still need to look at? And what are our next steps? We then categorized all of these different things into different buckets to give us a visual of what our needs were. And that really helped us to prioritize, because we came up with a laundry list of things that we felt that we needed to do. And we really had to narrow that down. We knew that there were things that involved communication to staff and trainings, data analysis and review, smaller group work. All of those things were needed. And we kind of put everything out there. And from that, we really drilled down on 2 priorities. And the 2 things that we identified as priorities were our LRE, our least restrictive environment within the current bell schedule that we had, and then also our school climate and culture. So in looking at our bell schedule, we realized that our bell schedule did not allow us the flexibility to offer that full continuum for students, and that we needed to address that with our entire staff. We needed to demonstrate how we are not supporting each and every one of our students. And really, in looking at that, we were able to look at even students outside of special education that we weren't able to meet their needs because of our current bell schedule. And so that helped in gaining the buy-in, because it wasn't just about one group of students, it really became about so many more. And then we realized that we recognized that there were some very different philosophies on our campus about how to meet the needs of students with disabilities and with learning differences, and kids who just struggle in general, or who have some different experiences that might make things more challenging for them. And we had to acknowledge those and tackle those as a staff. And so in order to do so with such different opinions on our campus, we needed to have a data-driven analysis of our school culture and climate in order to do that. And we needed that to be from an outside party. So with all of that, we really knew that we needed to focus on our least restrictive environment. We needed to focus on our school climate and culture. And since then, we've made some really great progress in both of those areas by sticking to our non-negotiables and leaning into the uncomfortable conversations in small groups and across our entire site, and really relying on our partnerships at the district and then also with our grant partners. So we're still on this journey. Like I said earlier, we always will be, but we're really proud of the work that we've done so far and the action planning and prioritization of our needs for our particular site. Next slide.
Thank you. As Kellie reflects on all of that, it's amazing what we accomplished in 2 days. And I think it's really important to note that for that, the people that we had be present for those 2 days, the fact that we had multiple district leadership staff, block off 2 full days, to participate in this really showed not only the support for Kellie and her assistant principals as a leadership team, but also the dedication and the prioritization of kind of breaking down some of these barriers and supporting this school site. And so again, a lot of our work kind of comes back to that leadership lens and making sure that we are all kind of calibrated across the board. A couple questions in the chat I just want to make sure are clear. So our co-taught classes are general education classes that are supported by our education specialists. And then when we refer to collaborative classes, we're talking about general education classes that are supported by our instructional assistants. And so within the district, we have identified kind of specific student needs for both placements and kind of helped to create that full continuum of general education, collaborative classes, co-taught classes, and then our learning supported classes, which are historically maybe called RSP in some spaces, but those separate classes that are taught by a special education teacher in a separate setting. So we kind of have that full continuum. So for our resources, we want to make sure that this is all available to you guys. So the first on the column on the left is our a lot of the documents and work that we did kind of before that 2-day site visit, looking at our needs assessment, looking at the staff survey, and then also kind of an agenda for how we outlined that 2-day site visit. So you can steal any of those. The resources on the right are a little bit more unique. So through our work after this, we took a lot of this information, like Kellie described, back to the school site and decided that we needed to present this information, make sure everyone understood it, provide them an opportunity to brainstorm and come up with their own potential solutions as a staff to address this need. And then also to look at the probability of those brainstormed solutions, bring those back and the impact that they could make, and then go through our consensus building process. So I believe there's 5 or 6 presentations. They're all dated, so you can kind of see the trajectory of what we did. But within this, based on the kind of school culture and climate that was going on and the uniqueness of the situation, these were presentations that were built with collaboration from the site admin team, our teacher union, our district leadership, so our associate superintendent, our special education director, myself, as well as our learning, our LSS director at the time. So it was definitely again, that collaborative effort from kind of above to make sure that everyone was having the same expectations and that everybody was prepared to prioritize and really defend, right? A lot of those conversations can become very difficult. So we want to make sure you have kind of an example of what that trajectory could look like if you are in a similar situation. And then I know we're at time, so just as you guys are leaving, we would love to, if you want to go to the next slide, just have you put something in the chat of something that you think you can take away from our presentation. And then also something that you could, another idea that you could also maybe share with someone else that maybe you guys have done. We would love to kind of capture that in the chat as you guys leave. And we appreciate your time and we thank you guys so much for joining us today.
Yes, and I'm just going to close this up. I want to say a very huge thank you to Michelle, Kellie, Megan, Laura, and Nancy for such a great session and sharing your joys and tears of your journey in order to design that sustainable system to improve outcomes for all students and families. And thank you for everybody else who's joined us and continuing your work in championing for inclusive practices. So up next is our lunch break with DJB Diamond. So head over to her, enjoy your lunch, and then we have our keynote at 12:40 with Alicia Anderson, and I put that in the chat so you can find that information. Don't forget to do your surveys to receive your conference t-shirt, and again, have some fun connecting in our social lounge, take pictures in our photo booth, and include the tags for @SIP Inclusion and the hashtag of SIPCon 2024. And don't forget your slides. All these slides and presentations can be accessed via this VFairs platform via the agenda page for 30 days. And if you have any other questions, come on over to the information booth.